So I'm a British 25-year-old living out here in Australia, and one of the most common things that I get asked about is the comparison with the cost of living between the UK and Australia. So what I thought I'd do is I'd take you through a bit of a day in the life today. I've got a few bits I want to do, a few bits that I'll spend money on during the day, and I thought I'd take you through it and compare the prices in Australia compared to what they would be like in the UK, because there is some pretty interesting comparisons. Some things which are way more expensive in Australia, some things which are way cheaper. Stay tuned to the video to find out what they are. Before we get into it though, make sure you give the video a like and subscribe to the channel, and yeah, let's get into it. So we're doing daily spending, so I thought I'd start off with the average price for a room in a share house. We're sharing in a share house at the moment. Me and my girlfriend are sharing a room, and here is the price comparison between the UK and Australia for one night in a share house. So in the UK, on average, you're going to be looking at about £24 per night, which is the equivalent of 49 Australian dollars, compared to in Australia, where on average, the rent for a room in a share house is 64 Australian dollars, so £31 per night. Not a massive amount of difference, but it is slightly more expensive in Australia to rent. Although one thing I will say is me and my girlfriend are sharing the room, so even though it's $64 per night, that's only $32 each. So if you're sharing, it is a bit cheaper, but yeah, the UK on this one is very slightly cheaper than Australia when it comes to rent. So guys, the first stop of nearly every day is going to be coffee. So let's get ourselves to a coffee shop and order ourselves a coffee. Let's go and compare the prices. So guys, iced latte is the drink of choice. In Australia, this cost me $8 today, which I found in Australia is about average. I compared it to the UK prices, where on average in the UK, for an iced latte, you're going to be paying about £3.80, which is the equivalent of $7.81 in Australia. So pretty similar, to be honest. I've generally found that it's very slightly cheaper in Australia for coffee. Iced coffees are usually a bit more expensive, so yeah, hot coffee especially is definitely cheaper in Australia. For cold, it is about the same price. Well guys, just been for a coffee at the coffee shop. One thing about Australia, it has made me into the biggest coffee drinker. I weren't really a big coffee drinker in the UK, to be fair, but being in Australia, the coffee is like 10 out of 10, and it's pretty reasonably priced, to be honest, considering how good it is in Australia. There's such a good choice of coffee shops outside. It's honestly the best place for that sort of thing. And we live in a decent little suburb now, which is good for like a morning coffee. I usually go there to work, do some editing, whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna nip home quickly, get a few little bits, and then I'll tell you what we're doing next. So guys, at the bus stop, I'm gonna get the bus into town. But first of all, I'm gonna let you know the prices for a bus in Australia compared to the UK, roughly for like a 15-minute bus ride. So I'm in Cairns right now, and in Cairns they've got a bit of a deal. I don't know, I think it's always going with the bus. You pay $5 for a weekly pass, which if you're getting the bus 10 times a week like I am, or 5 days a week, 2 trips a day, that's 50 cents per journey for the bus. Whereas in the UK, on average, you're going to be paying £2.80 for a 15-minute bus journey, which is the equivalent of $5.57. So the equivalent of one bus journey in the UK is the equivalent of 5 journeys here in Cairns in Australia, which is so much cheaper for Australia. And that's one thing I have generally found with Australia, is public transport is so much cheaper. In Brisbane, we paid 50 cents for like a 45-minute train journey in Brisbane, which is crazy. So much cheaper than the UK. But yeah, gonna wait for the bus now. The comparisons for this one are so much better in Australia's favour, because public transport in Australia is so much cheaper than the UK. So guys, made it into Cairns town. As you can see, I'm in absolute desperate need of a haircut. It's been about 3 weeks, so every 3 weeks usually I go and get a trim, and yeah, absolutely in need, because I look like a bloody hedgehog. So yeah, time to get a trim. I'm gonna get a trim, and I'll catch up with you after to let you know how much it cost and how much it would cost in the UK. Yes guys, so the sun is out. I'm chilling in the park. It is so bright right now, so I hope you can actually see me. I have got a water I'm not going to compare the price of a water, so it's probably going to be about the same. But anyway, got myself a haircut, brought back the buzz cut. So yeah, the price of this haircut was a lovely $45, which to be honest I think is slightly more on the expensive side in Australia, I would say. So that price of $45 in Australia is, I would say, a bit above what I usually pay. I'd usually pay about $35–40. So the equivalent for $45 is £22, which is the exact average haircut price in the UK for a skin fade, the same haircut as this. You're looking at £22 in the UK, so the exact same. But like I said, in Australia this is slightly on the more expensive side. I would usually pay 40 max, but this barber is the only one I can find in Cairns so far. If you've got any barber recommendations then that are cheaper, let me know, but they do a decent job. But yeah, pretty much bang average, the exact same as the UK. I would say Australia is very slightly cheaper in terms of haircuts, but not much different. I think so far things are looking very similar between both countries, apart from the transport. Yeah, but anyway, I'm going to chill in the park for a little bit, try and catch a little bit of a tan, because I feel like I have not been able to do that at all. And then we're going to get on to our next place, where we're going to get on the piss. Nah, we're going to have a beer and compare the price. Guys, this here reminds me exactly of this dinner that we had in Krabi in Thailand. But this is our view. Literally identical to this, although if you ate at one of these restaurants you'd be paying no doubt 5 times the price of what we paid in Thailand that time. But yeah, nice little spot. So guys, I've come into a brewery to do the next comparison between the prices, UK versus Australia. Got a pint. Apologies if the lighting is terrible, because I feel like it is in here, but let's have a look at the comparison for a pint. By the way, this isn't even a pint, this is a schooner, because in Australia they do schooners, which is like 2/3 of a pint. I'm gonna have to be quick as well because I'm gonna get copyrighted. The average price for a pint in the UK is about £5 or $10.27. I just paid $11 for a schooner, which is more than a pint in the UK. On average, I'd say I'd pay about $13 for a pint in Australia, which is about $3 more than a pint in the UK. So this is a common theme, to be honest, with alcohol. I feel like alcohol is way more expensive in Australia. That's just a running theme, to be honest, whether it's a bottle in the bottle shop or a pint. Guys, I've just realised how terrible that lighting was. You couldn't even see me in that last clip, but fuck it, I've got a pale ale, which is a go-to in Australia. Yeah, pretty refreshing when the sun's out. Yeah, I'm going to enjoy this and maybe get a second one. Yes guys, so finished up at the brewery, I can never say that word, the brewery, so hard to say. Yeah, got a couple of nice beers in there. I did get 2 because they were only schooners. For you guys from the UK who don't know, a schooner is like 2/3 of a pint. They do that in Australia. Bit of a difference, but yeah, as I said, in general, this is the biggest thing in Australia. Alcohol is way more expensive than what it is in the UK. Honestly, like the bottle shops, the pubs, alcohol is just a lot more expensive. But yeah, I couldn't film a lot in there because the music would have got me copyrighted, but yeah, it was still decent. Gonna head back fairly soon, gonna get the bus back home, and yeah, I'll let you know if we spend any more money today. To be honest, I don't know if I will, because I've already spent quite a bit, considering I got a haircut, a couple of drinks, coffee this morning, so maybe not, but I'll let you know, and I'll update you soon. So guys, I've finished up with the day, just chilling out now. We've had dinner. I'm not going to do the prices for dinner just because I can't be bothered to work it all out, but I'd imagine it's pretty similar to the UK. But yeah, that is a roundup for the day. I'm going to go through just quickly everything and basically which one was cheaper. So starting off with rent, the UK very slightly cheaper for a share house. Coffee pretty much the same, although for this one it was very slightly cheaper in the UK, but generally I've actually found it's cheaper in Australia. The bus, the obvious one, which is definitely more expensive in the UK, so cheap in Australia. The haircut, today's haircut was exactly on average with the UK, although it was slightly on the more expensive side in Australia. Usually it would be a bit cheaper. And the beer was obviously cheaper in the UK because Australia alcohol is crazy, and I think that's one of the biggest differences between Australia and the UK is Australia alcohol is way more expensive. So yeah. So obviously this is just a few things. I'm not spending crazy money because I'm literally a backpacker living in Australia. So 5 things we got today. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this where I compare different things, because generally I feel like this was more in the UK's favour. There is actually a lot of things which I think are cheaper in Australia. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.